Monday Night Football, Jacksonville Jaguars quarterback Trevor Lawrence was stepped on by one of his offensive linemen and was in immediate pain. For those that watched, he tried to stand up, fell back, and threw his helmet in complete rage. He was helped off the field. It's now been declared to be an ankle sprain. He's likely going to miss time. CJ Beathard finished the game and would presumably be the starter. Noah, I want to just ask your quick thoughts on this because this is someone that, as we have now learned, has a late season surge. Last year, first half, not so great. Second half was amazing. It was looking that way now. But what we learned Monday night are certain players are going to be impacted greatly by this. What is your first reaction to Trevor Lawrence's injury and how that affects the rest of the Jacksonville offense?
Yeah, obviously losing Trevor Lawrence is a big downside to your fantasy season. I know a lot of managers who had been patient, people who picked him up that were hopeful, were definitely enjoying the experience they were having, even on Monday night. He still had a fantastic night on Monday night for fantasy football. Could have been even better, but unfortunately he goes out with the injury. I know it's not a big name, but CJ Beathard's not bad. Like, CJ Beathard, we've seen him in the 49ers system before. He played, I didn't know I've seen him start like 4 or 5 games, and he's fine. Like, he's a fine quarterback. He's not Trevor Lawrence, but I mean, you saw like he didn't, like the Jaguars offense just didn't like completely stall once he came into the game. Like, stood with the football a little bit, still got in the scoring positions, stuff like that. And so I don't know if this is necessarily a huge like loss for the skill players. I know for Trevor Lawrence owners it is, but I mean it may just be that it's a tight end, but like I still feel fine about Evan Ingram. I think I still feel fine about Travis Etienne. And I saw a couple of deep shots to Calvin Ridley from CJ Beathard. So you can't expect exactly what you were getting with Trevor Lawrence, but I think all these guys are probably still fine to keep playing.
I think Evan Ingram, if anything, I think everyone else has maybe a lateral move. Calvin Ridley may take a dip because he was on a hot streak for a couple of games.
Sure.
But Evan Ingram had a heck of a night on Monday, and it seemed like he was the most reliable option for CJ Beathard. Maybe we'll see some more options with Zay Jones, and maybe when Christian Kirk is healthy from his groin injury that he also suffered, maybe he might be involved a little bit more. But it does feel like it's going to be okay, right? It feels like Jacksonville players aren't going to lose you your playoffs because it's Beathard instead of Lawrence.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think if you had Calvin Ridley, you had already kind of had a replacement, and you had kind of started to feel better about rolling Ridley out. So if you feel better going back to that replacement for Calvin Ridley, then you do continuing to roll him out. I don't know what the rest of their schedule looks like, but I'm sure they're going to be. I feel like they can be competitive still. I know their defense can put them in good positions, even though it wasn't a great showing on prime time. But their defense is still a very talented defense. So, I mean, I think if you have Ridley, you probably already had somebody you were rolling out over him. If you want to go back to them, that's fine. Evan Ingram, I think, is still a great play. We've seen Evan Ingram be semi-successful before with probably worse quarterbacks. And Travis Etienne, I think, is definitely just still going to keep up. I think he probably gets maybe a little bit of a bump up. I think they probably rely on him a little bit more. Maybe they try to run the ball more. So, I think everything is going to be fine. Yeah, I think we'll be okay here with the Jaguars.
The Jaguars' rest of the fantasy season is at Cleveland versus Baltimore, at Tampa Bay, and then the last week is versus Carolina. So
it's doable. Week?
That's championship week.
Oh man,
it's doable, but it's not.
That's rough.
It's not
actually.
Easy.
That's tough. I mean, the Browns have been without Denzel Ward for a couple games.
Myles Garrett
Myles Garrett's okay. Travis Etienne just had Kyron Williams just had a pretty solid game, saved by like a late game touchdown a little bit. I think Evan Ingram is going to be fine. I think Calvin Ridley, you can roll him out if you want. You can replace him if you want. It's just maybe a matchup dependent thing. And Etienne, I think, is still okay. So ultimately, overall, I do think we're okay here.